What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, back in January of 2020, Deadline ran an article talking about Chris Evans returning to the MCU as Steve Rogers' Captain America for at least one project and a possible second film. But when that article had been released, it hadn't even been a year yet since we saw Old Man Cap at the end of Avengers Endgame pass the shield to Falcon. It felt like a total impossibility. But over the last 3.5 years, that rumor has persisted. Every 6 months or so, new details coming from a different industry insider. And if you missed our most recent video, we break down the rumored NOMAD project in full, one that will see not only the return of Chris Evans, but Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson as Iron Man and Black Widow respectively, reuniting the original Avengers trio, and right before we get to Secret Wars. Now again, I'll link that video at the end of this and down in the description, but in the meantime, and this past weekend, Chris Evans was asked point blank by a fan at a Comic-Con about returning to the MCU as Steve Rogers, and while obviously he didn't publicly confirm he's coming back as the character, he didn't rule it out either. In fact, his language was very specific and admitted there's more Steve Rogers stories to tell. We've got the quote for you. We're going to break it down as well as talk about how it fits in light of the most recent reports that he, Scarlett Johansson, and Robert Downey Jr. will all be returning to the MCU. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. The next one is right around the corner to be released with Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, all you got to do, be a sub, leave a comment on this video if you want. Stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so again, this took place at the C2E2 convention in Chicago. This is as reported by Variety. Quote, ever since Chris Evans exited the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Avengers Endgame, comic book movie fans have been clamoring for his return as Steve Rogers. It appears as though they'll have to keep waiting for now. Speaking at C2E2 fan convention in Chicago, Evans said a potential Captain America return, quote, doesn't quite feel right at the moment. However, Evans did admit that there's more Captain America stories that are appealing to him, so never say never. Here's the exact quote. It's tough, because look, I love that role deeply. Captain America means so much to me, I really do. I think there's more Steve Rogers stories to tell, sure, but at the same time, I'm very, very precious with it. It's like this little shiny thing that I have and I love so much, and I just don't want to mess up in any way. And that was a part of something that was so special for that special period of time. In a way, it really landed so well. As much as I'm connected to that role and love telling those stories and working with those people, it doesn't quite feel right now. Now, obviously, he's referring to the fact that Captain America 4, starring Sam Wilson as the new Captain America, with Anthony Mackie finally getting his shot to be Cap on the big screen, is the right now he's talking about. He doesn't want to talk about returning or coming back as Steve Rogers' Captain America. Again, when Captain America 4 is about a year away with a different lead and a different character in that mantle. But when he mentions the more Steve Rogers stories to tell, very obviously he's pointing to what happened with Cap's story when he went to return the Infinity Stones. The most recent rumors, and again, if you want to check out that video, it breaks it down in full, say that Marvel could look to explore that time period where he was returning the stones before they reunite the characters. And quite honestly, it's worth pointing out that if the project is truly called NOMAD, a mantle that Captain America does wear at least one point in the comics, it would be during the period in between Civil War and Infinity War, when he was on the run operating what the Russos have affectionately called the Secret Avengers. That would be his quote-unquote nomad period, and a period of time we'd love to see, especially if this is set in a separate multiverse. Not even our Steve Rogers, you can leave his story intrinsically intact, even have a Steve Rogers Old Man Cap, and then bring in a different Avengers from a different point of time. And to me, this works the exact same way as they're doing with the Logan storyline and the time travel and bringing Hugh Jackman back. I've gone back and forth on this, and conversely, I think I actually want our Tony Stark back, the one from 616, and I have theories about how that could happen instead of being a multiverse version. Now, while this is all fine in conjecture, a lot of you are saying, yeah, but they're just rumors. When would he even have time to come back? The most recent rumors about NOMAD say that they're actually going to set to start filming next year, at the beginning of next year, which means pre-development on this project has been happening and secretly for quite some time. Now, unfortunately, just for devil's advocacy's sake, I will say that because the rumor mill and industry insider reporting has been so airtight and on the money for the last 2 or 3 years, the fact that we haven't had more confirmations and from trades like Variety or Deadline or The Hollywood Reporter where they verified certain pieces of this, the fact that we haven't seen word of this in any of the pre-production publications that have gone out. Remember, these films, these TV shows, they just have so many working parts and people. It's very hard to keep something completely secret, especially also considering there would be an LLC registered for this, and we haven't had anything that seems to match the description just yet. Now, while that's enough for me to sprinkle a heaping teaspoon worth of skepticism all over this rumor, there's one other thing, that an idea I basically couldn't shake last night as I read this report from Variety and was preparing for the video this morning. It just stayed at the front of my mind that if this is true and Chris Evans views his Steve Rogers Captain America performance as something that's that precious and not wanting to mess up, don't you think there's at least a small part of him that, as someone who off-ramped the MCU, is now looking from the outside in, sees what a mess these stories have been and where the MCU's at, sees all the turmoil behind the scenes, at least what's going on with the company? He's no longer a part of that. In fact, was able to get out before most of this turned into a mess. Do you not think there's at least a small part of him that, when he says the timing doesn't feel quite right now, has nothing to do with Captain America next year, but rather has to do with the state of the MCU, thinking, hey, I might have really dodged a bullet here. Not only did I get my character out, but I got out and flawlessly. Even Scarlett Johansson had a huge blow up with Black Widow and required suing the company in order to get paid. Why would I want to run headfirst back into the mouse house while seemingly all levels of the building are metaphorically on fire? I think there could be something to that. I think, at least for right now, but Marvel Studios is rapidly attempting to clean everything up. And for me, while some people may correlate them pulling out Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans from the MCU with the MCU beginning to decline, I would say the heavy correlation's not between the absence of those actors and the decline of the MCU, but basically Marvel prioritizing money over the projects and paying absolute rock bottom for the writing. And I don't think that's talked about enough, but right now, basically the report is, if you're an agent in Hollywood and you have a writer, you're not sending him to Disney, or rather specifically Marvel, because they pay rock bottom. It doesn't matter how much CGI or bad CGI, which actors or anything else you heap on top of that. Even great IP like Marvel, with the sort of favor it had built with the fandom, the huge investment it had made during the Infinity Saga, if the writing is bad, it doesn't matter. The stories are bad, the dialogue is bad, everything else is bad. It's all good money after bad. So, with them attempting to clean things up, slow down production, put more money into these projects. We've already heard that they're rewriting Fantastic Four, as well as doing a full rewrite on Thunderbolts. That's them prioritizing writing. And if they can do that and turn things around, my final thought is there is still plenty of time to entice someone like Steve Rogers to want to come back as Chris Evans. We already know they've moved Secret Wars once to 2026. I think by the next round of announcements at San Diego Comic-Con or D23, by the time all of these delays have gone into effect, and maybe 2027 before Secret Wars comes out, plenty of time for them to even go into pre-production and get a NOMAD project out where we see Chris Evans return, and plenty of time for them to turn it around over the next year or so that he actually wants to come back. But you guys let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments, how you feel about this, and of course, who do you want to see back in the MCU for the final Secret Wars battle? I'm all ears. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, we're still giving away a PlayStation 5. The next milestone is Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a month away now. All you have to do to be entered to win, it's super simple. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave a comment on this video. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. Make sure to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on to keep up with all the content, especially as we head into Guardians and then past that into Secret Invasion. We will be doing the weekly watch parties when Secret Invasion goes live here in just a couple of months. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music under All Fires. At the top of the comments, there will be a pre-sale link to my brand new EP that drops on 4/18. Listen, guys, I know barely anybody buys music anymore, and I would completely appreciate you just streaming it when it drops on the 18th, but because nobody buys music anymore, it is easier than ever to nab a spot at the bottom of the Billboard charts, something I've been trying to do since I was about 15 years old and have never given up on. Still at it. Even though I'm old, I am still at it. I can't even tell you what number attempt this is. In the meantime, the EP is only $5. And again, it's no big deal if you don't want to buy it, if you just want to stream it or not listen to it at all. I just appreciate you listening to the channel. But if you want to support me as a content creator, this is the best way to do so. The link's down in the comments. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.